Good morning, everybody. Hope you've all had a good weekend. And today is obviously Monday, the 27th of July. I'm just going to jump into the markets and I'm going to start with the weekly view. Now, the reason I want to do this is obviously we've been watching the markets fall since the all-time high. Well, we haven't all been following, obviously some of you are new here, but overall, since we hit this all-time high around 5,600 back in January, the market has been in a downtrend. However, now there's more talks of the war being settled with Iran and stuff. Short term, we're going to start to see some sort of reversal like we've seen overnight. So obviously the Asian session opened last night at midnight here in Spain and price started to move up. And potentially we're going to continue to see that uptrend today. However, I just want to show you a few things here on the larger macro time frame. Weekly, like I said, weekly time frame now. So you can sort of start to paint a bit of a picture of what I believe could potentially be happening. So here you'll see this long wick to the downside, which was a liquidation grab or liquidity grab, however you want to call it. And there was another one here on the 8th of June. So what I see here also is, you see how the price came up, we hit resistance at 4,000, huge psychological level, which is marked here in blue. And then price broke through and retested it. And again, we bounced back up, closed above and started to move up. This is what I'd call like a bit of a bottom formation. So it's forming a bit of a bottom for the next leg up. And that's precisely what happened. So I'm just going to mark this out here. You'll see this was like a rounding bottom that formed before price started to go up, and it moved up from 4,000, like I said, to 4,000, from 4,000, sorry, to 5,601. I believe this could be something very similar happening here if we can close above this the current trend that we're going in right now. So if we just mark this here, you'll see a very similar sort of pattern has happened, a rounding bottom here, a rounding bottom here. So if we can break this SMA here, simple moving average or smooth moving average that's coming down, and close the other side of it, which also ties in with our macro trend, I believe. Let me just open this parallel channel. Let me just put on, so we've got the larger one here, but let me just hide this for a second because I do see a bit of a trend line that can go from this peak all the way down there, which the SMA is actually also following pretty much. So I took it off of this candle here, not the top one, the lower high, and then this candle here. Yes, you can do it through the bodies to this steeper. So this would have been the first trend here. This is obviously now broken. Then we look for the next one. That's also broken. And now we look for the next one out, or the next one, which is this one here. And I place it there. And we'll see what's happening now is we're going to potentially run into some resistance, which is at 4148 to 4150, sort of 4160 zone. If we can break through this and retest, then I believe that the direction of the overall market on the macro time frame will change from bearish to a bullish scenario, where we could look for pushes to the upside. This also coincides with the sell pressure on the MACD easing. The RSIs are also starting to not round off completely, but they are starting to flatten a bit, and they're not such an aggressive downside move. And then also here on the weekly time frame, this indicator here has flashed green. That doesn't mean the bottom is in. However, it does mean that buys are starting to be more of a thing now. So then what that means for us is, in the short term on our daily time frames and 4 hours and hourly, we start to look for buys because the overall direction is starting to show bullish signs. So I'm going to jump now down to the daily time frame, and you'll see obviously since the 3rd of July, really everything has been a bit bullish, but obviously within the green days, you still get downwards price action. So it's not, you can't just go off of indicators, because you just can't. I always say the same thing, like indicators are there to help you. They're not gospel. They're not like a magic ball to see into the future where price is going to go. So we'll hide them for now. And then on the daily time frame, as you can see, price is getting into where these, see how price has tried to get close to this, and every time it's a wick. Let me just go in a bit closer. Every time we've approached this trend line, it's sold off. So you've got the wick. Again, we came up here, sold off here, Again, we sold off. It was getting closer to that. That's the equilibrium point on a daily time frame, which is like a midpoint. The green bar is low side, which is like a discount zone basically, and then this is the premium zone to sell. So if you bought here and you sold here, you've done well. That's what this algorithm on this indicator thinks. Obviously, it depends if you're holding short term or long term. So again, we're pushing up here and we're starting to get sales off of this. So what I really want to do today is just wait a little bit to see for the market to settle. Obviously, we pushed up last night from 4050 all the way up to where did we get to this morning? 4115. So obviously, let me just have a look. $37 or $36 change in the market, and we've nearly done 1% increase today. 0.91% push since last night in the last 24 hours. So let me jump down now to smaller time frames, the 4 hourly. Again, we're coming into this equilibrium point. So I still believe that we're going to be overall bullish today if momentum continues. What I'm going to go and do is put on our parallel channel, which we've been watching. I'm also going to activate the areas of interest. You see them? And now I'll zoom into these time frames. I'm going to drag that. So look, now we're back inside of this area of interest that we were tracking. I think it was last week. When was it? Last Thursday. So let's just wait. Let me just go down to the hourly time frame. Let's see if we're going to get a little push down further. If we can hold this 480 or 4080, should I say? If we can hold 4080, then I just believe this is a bit of a retrace. Let me just put a Fibonacci on here quickly, because this move here is bullish and it could just be coming down. So let's just take it from the bottom to the top. Okay, so the 36.2 is right where I said. See how these all line up correctly, yeah? So the Fibonacci from the top, which was 4116.59 to its recent bottom, so this uptrend here. No, not leave. We could retrace to 38.2, which is the base at 4080. If we break that, then we could tap the 50. Not holding that, then we come down here lower, pretty much in time with the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement, which is always a huge area for big retracements. So if this comes down here and taps 61.8, I'll be looking for buys as long as 4058 can hold. Again, if we can hold this area here, 4080, again, I believe that we could continue to push to the upside. But at the minute, we're back inside of this zone. So let's just not do any trades for now, unless any of the other traders are calling anything. Feel free to take those trades. But for the minute, for a longer swing throughout the day, I'm going to just wait for further confirmations to come into these zones, and then I'll call it with you all, okay? And let me just look on a smaller time frame quickly. Yeah, same thing. It's all this little bearish reversal zone here, and this bullish trend. This hasn't held, which is saying to me, tells me that because we didn't bounce off of here, usually you're meant to get a bounce, which is like a bullish bounce off of here, and a rejection off of here, which we did see. Because it hasn't held and it's broken through this now, we could potentially see some downside price action. It could just be the start of the London session selling off, and then by 3:30, 2:30 UK time, when the New York session opens, all of that could get retraced. So if the London session is going to start selling off today, looking for sales to retrace all of what happened last night in the Asia session, then New York could push up. It's not guaranteed. I'm just saying the scenario that could potentially play out. So let's just watch this. I'm going to also just monitor some of the other trades that the other traders are sending in. And if you've got any questions or anything else, guys, let me know. And I'll catch you on in a bit.